Hello everyone, welcome to Chaudhary Data World channel. Today I am here with a new video in SQL series. In that we are having DQL commands as operators as any and all. So we'll be watching all the details related to these two, any and all, into this particular video. So let's get started with the video. First one is any and another one is all. All is very confusing, so kindly concentrate on it as soon as I cover this whole topics. So first I will move with any, and before moving ahead with any, we are having a small thing which right now I haven't cleared you up, that is of subquery. And this subquery concept is very important one, because in upcoming projects or anywhere, wherever you will be writing your SQL script, this subquery is the important one to deal up with. So what is subquery actually? So query that is embedded within another query. That means if suppose you are having a main query, into that main query, if suppose you are having a child query inside it, that is only called as subquery. Example you can see over here, that is select customer name from customer, and inside this in operator we have already saw into previous video, which was there for to handle with the multiple data. That means suppose where clause were there, which was for the single data where something equals to and that particular data, but in is for the multiple data. So this multiple data is getting obtained here with a subquery. The subquery is the select customer ID from order where total amount is greater than 100. Now this particular select customer ID from order where total amount greater than 100, this I am just taking you to the here, and I can show you that this particular one is itself returning some values, that is 1, 2 and 1, the customer IDs it is returning, which is getting passed into this in operator. And this in operator then when getting executed with whole of its query, it is giving you customer A and customer B. So what this select customer ID and from orders where total amount greater than 100, what this is only subquery. That means we are using a parent query and then the child query. The child query is called as the subquery. So that was only the concept of subquery, into which we can see that the result of the subquery is related to temporary, just a second, so here we can see that the result of subquery is a temporary table or a derived data set for another query. That is, of course, it is a derived data set, right? We have saw that into that in operator we are giving a data set which is getting derived from this particular query. So that is only the subquery. Now moving ahead with the any. So any is more like in operator itself, but specifically if we are talking about in, it is a operator which compares a value. You can see over here that it compares a value of the first table with all values of the second table. That means first table to you is select customer name from customers where customer ID. This particular one is your first table. The second table is customer select customer ID from orders where total amount greater than 100. So now what it will do, it will compare both of the tables, and whatever operator you have used, basis of that it will and return the row there is a match within any value. So if suppose there is any value getting matched into this particular second table with the first table, it will output you that particular row as your in operator is working. Similarly, this any is also working. So let me show you on the SSMS. In front of us we are having this particular whole query set which is for the demonstration of any. Now this particular one is the subquery for this one. So this is the second table we are considering. When it is getting executed, we are getting outputted with two customer ID, that is 1 and 2. Now it will check for that select customer name from customer ID where customer ID equals 2. That means if any of them in any among 1 and 2 customer ID getting satisfied, this customer ID it is getting, then it will result the customer name of it. So you can see that both of the customer IDs are available into this customer table, correct? So the customer name is getting outputted as customer A and customer B against that customer ID 1 and 2. So this is how any works. The main difference between any and in operator is that any operator is bit slow than the in operator. Any operator is slow than the in operator when dealing with simple static list of values. Suppose if you are passing any list of values instead of this particular one, if suppose you are passing this as this particular in operator, suppose this is there, correct? And if you are passing 1 comma 2, correct? So this 1 comma 2, it is now you are passing it as a static value. This 1 comma 2 is not going to be derived. It is already a static value which you are passing. This is only the biggest flexibility which we get into it into this in operator. But when we are dealing with any operator, we can't pass this static value, which make it a bit performance wise slower. So but this any operator is very powerful. We can have versatility into it, but in operator is some at some extent it is getting limited, but any is having much more power than this in operator, but by performance wise in operator is much more faster than any operator. Now moving ahead with the all. This all is very important one, and you may say it's a very confusing one as well. So let's concentrate on it. What it is telling you: compares a value of first table with all values of the second table and returns the rows if there is a match with all values. As we have seen in any operator, it was matching with any value and it is matching with all values. This is only the twist here. So what it is trying to tell you is, suppose I will explain you through the example. The first example in front of us is suppose this one, correct? We will first dive deep into this particular example, in which we can see here that we are having a subquery which is this one. Now this particular subquery is resulting you two IDs, that is 1 and 2. Now what it is trying to tell you is that if suppose you want to query this customer name from customer table where customer ID greater than these two IDs, that means it will consider all the IDs, not it is like that it will consider 1 or it will consider 2. And we can see that into our customer table we are having 3 IDs and 3 customer names, that is 1, 2 and 3. Now this particular inner query, it is giving you 1 and 2. So it is telling you that you need to fetch that particular customer name which is having customer ID greater than 1 and 2. Right now when it will be executed internally, it will be understanding like this, that you need to find that customer ID which customer ID is greater than the subquery which is returning, that is 1 and 2. So hope you are getting this point. So when we execute this one, we are only left with ID 3, right? ID 3 is integer and ID 1 and 2 is also integer. So if you will check with integer wise, definitely ID 3 is greater than ID 1 and 2, right? Because that is also an integer data type. These all 1 and 2 are also integer data type. It's simply a number, right? So when this 1, 2 and 3 is getting compared, 3 is the greatest one. So when it will be checked with having greater operator, then when we execute it, we are getting customer C. Instead of customer name, if we will write customer ID, it will be more understandable and less confusing actually. So now you can see that you will get customer ID 3, correct? That means what it is, again I am repeating these words because if it might confuse you. So what it is here now doing at a nutshell, this particular subquery is returning customer ID 1 and 2. This particular table, it is now checking that it need to fetch only those customer ID which is greater than customer ID 1 and customer ID 2. Greater than customer ID 1 and customer ID 2, we are left with only one customer ID, that is customer ID 3. Correct? So it is returning you 3. That means it is checking for all the values with whatever it is getting returned into the subquery. Correct? Moving ahead with another example of all. Here you are having two subqueries basically. In this particular one, we were having only one subquery. This is a bit complicated, more complicated. So first one, we will see the innermost inner query. That is select max total amount from the order. So this is going to return you 300, correct? That means it is telling you that from order table that maximum total amount is 300. Now you will go with these two queries. Now these two queries, what it is implying, it is implying that this customer ID, you need to select that customer ID where total amount greater or equals to 300. So it is only that one customer one ID 1 is having only greater or equals to 300. Total amount equals greater or equals to 300. That means you are getting customer ID as 1. Now it is asking you, you need to take out that particular customer name which is equals to all whatever customer ID it is over there. That means customer ID 1. It will consider only customer ID 1 because this particular subquery is returning you customer ID 1. So when you will execute this whole query, it will give you as customer A, correct? Because it is equals to operator over here, which is checking that what all customers ID it is returning. It is returning you customer ID 1, which is corresponding to the customer name as customer A. So that's it. So that was only the confusing part, and it confuses you that how all and how any differs, how all is considering all the things. So this is how we can just keep in mind that we are having two tables we need to compare. So when we are comparing it with any, we can consider any value from the table 2, but if we are comparing both the tables for all, we need to consider all the values which is there into the table 2. Now table 2 is the innermost, or you may say the inner query which it is returning you. This is only referring to the table 2 right now here. So that was whole about this video, and hope you are very much clear about this any and all operator along with the subquery concept. So thank you so much guys for watching the videos. Subscribe to the channel if you are new to the channel. Like to the video if you found this video helpful, and see you in the next one. Thank you so much guys once again.